Hey guys, it's Paul. I've been asked in another video what is the difference between Zoho Meeting and Zoho Webinar. So I'm going to try and fly through it, show you the differences, give you an idea of exactly how it works, right? So Zoho Meeting, there's a free version for one-on-one meetings and up to 40 minutes for up to 100 people, or you're going to pay $14.99 for Zoho Meeting for the unlimited meeting functionality or the 24-hour long meetings, right? There's a $40 add-on for Zoho Webinar, right? This is the difference is really in Zoho Meeting. It's all about everybody in the meeting interacting. Everybody in the meeting being able to see each other, send each other private messages, share their screens, and do it as a full meeting, right? In Zoho Webinar, it's more one person presenting and then interacting with who he wants, or well, me, if it's a he or she wants, being able to offer one person to share their screen, to unmute themselves, to interact with the presenter or the couple of presenters, right? So think boardroom, everybody on meeting versus classroom, everybody front facing, watching you present something, right? So there is a comparison here. Zoho Meeting, typically used for general employees, training groups, event hosts, or SVP and C-suite. I don't know what that means. Same as what I've just said, really. So here's audio sharing. All participants can mute, unmute their own audio. Host can mute, request to unmute participants. The host can set all participants to mute. Only the host and panelists can mute, unmute their own audio. So basically what happens if somebody in the webinar puts their hand up and says they want to say something, the host can unmute it, whereas in the meeting, anybody can mute themselves or unmute themselves at any time, right? Attendees can join in listen-only mode, and a host can unmute one or more attendees, right? So you can get a discussion, and you can import more people on the webinar than the 100 people in the meeting that can just watch it, but they can't interact, they can't ask anything. Then we go through the ticks and the crosses. I don't know, there wasn't a big difference there, was it? Tick, tick, tick. Email reminders if registration is enabled. So you can basically, on the webinar, you can have a sign-up page and then obviously say, remind this person before it starts. The chat's a little bit different in meeting chat versus webinar chat. A Q&A, there isn't a Q&A, so I'll show you that. File transfer, obviously you can't have people transferring files between each other. Whiteboard, everything the same. Breakout rooms, you can send people in a meeting to a different room, whereas you can't in the webinar. PayPal integration, so in theory you can charge for webinar registration, right? Require password and everything else is the same. So there's a lot of things that are the same, but as I say, we're thinking internal office meetings or meetings with clients where you want everybody to talk versus a webinar where only a few people are hosting it and then allowing certain people to talk. But let's just show you the absolute differences. Right, let me try and show you the differences, meeting to webinar. And let me do it, I'll try and do all the meeting settings and then go to the webinar settings and show you the difference. The first difference is exactly this. 3 pictures, everybody who comes into your meeting, so this is the meeting, picture can be up. Or you can have a single view or multi-view. Everybody's in the meeting, right? Everybody together. So the bridge is my phone. This one up here, this top corner one is my other computer, my dad's computer. This is my computer, right? So you get everybody's in the picture, right? So everybody's talking. Chat. Down the bottom, chat. Everybody can see each other's chat, right? So I'm recording my phone as well. So in the chat, down the bottom, right, if you look on my phone, I'm blinding somebody. Chat, right? I can send a message to everyone, or this is my dad, so send a message to one person, or send a message to everyone, right? So basically what obviously that is, so it pops up on there, hello, pops up on the other computer, hello. So basically with the chat, you might say these 2 people are working together and this is your client. So the phone is your client. you don't want it to show up on the phone, right? So I'll leave it open. So this is the phone. This is the phone, right? This is the phone. So what I'm going to do is send a chat just to my colleague, right? So this one up here, Mick Nicholson works with me, right? So I'm going to chat and I'm going to just send it privately to Mick Nicholson. What do you think? We in? Right, you got to be careful because you send it to everybody, it might go. So you see nothing came up on the phone because we never sent it to the phone. Up at the top, Mick Nicholson can say to everyone, or to Paul's phone, or to me. So he's going to put, yeah. Yes. Yeah, defo, right. So he's sending me a private message back. Not come up on the phone, right? So on here I can say, here's the quote link, isn't it? Whatever. Right? PNUK quote. Whatever that might be. Right? Now this time you'll see on the phone that came up. Right? And the person can obviously be talking or go check it out. So the chat difference between meeting and webinar is everybody in the meeting can talk to each other privately or in full. You can probably change some settings to not allow that as well. But you can see privately it's different, right? You have a few settings on this. You don't have to have all three on at once. You can change it so that there's speaker view. So whoever's talking can jump up, right? So if I unmute, so this is me on this computer, right? Now, if I unmute me, so if I mute this computer, it will jump to here when I start talking, right? So I'll unmute it, unmute. Hello! It jumps to the person who's talking. Let me mute it again. So whoever is talking in your meeting, you can have a view where that pops up on their main screen. See how the main stream on the phone changed? So when I unmute the phone, my computer will change, the phone won't change. I don't think because it's the phone talking. Hello, hello. Right, so that automatically changed because of the sound. Right, and if I unmute me, the phone will change to me. Yeah, you're right, that's correct. And the phone changes to the person talking. Cool. So that's another feature of the meeting that won't happen in the webinar, right? Anything else? You can change your backgrounds. If you want to change your backgrounds back, spotlight. If you want to change your background, you go here. Look, choose a virtual background. You can change it to flowers or the bridge. Or you can use it on a picture of anything you've got on your computer, or you can turn it off, right? Change background. None. Right. Put it back. I'll go back to the planet because it just shows the differences, right? Obviously, you can go live on Facebook if you want. You can invite more people that will just come in, and it will just be more boxes. But the meeting free version, you're only going to get 40 minutes of this meeting. Other than that, you're going to get further on. So that's the big difference between a meeting and the webinar. When I go to the webinar in a minute, you're going to see that everybody can interact, everybody can talk, everybody can unmute themselves. So, you know, you've got more settings. Oh, on the phone you can change it so you can see everybody. Tap to speak. Where's the settings gone? Here we go. Oh, right. So on the phone, if I put the phone up, you can see the chat. Right, you can see what you've had. You can see other participants. You can tick on them and message them. Right, so this is another big thing on the app. On the webinar, you can't see other participants. You can't see who else is there. Right, stop video. Start video. Unmute yourself. Right, so you can basically start talking on a meeting whenever you want. Right, you can still. Raise your hand. So if you've got a question, see the little hand here. Anybody got a question? I've got one. Raise your hand. Puts up a question, right? So you can still do that. That function's there on both, right? So it's kind of, you've got more functionality in the meeting as somebody joining the meeting, right? I'm going to end the meeting for everybody. So when I go end the meeting for all, that closes everybody down, right? So let's talk about the webinar. Right, so this time I'm back in as my webinar, and now the other screens are just seeing this. They're not seeing the multiple pictures, because what they are is just sent to attendees, right? So maybe this background might need to be, let's just get rid of it for now, right? So the other computers are just seeing the main presenter. Whoever the host is and any co-host will be shown on this picture, right? You can't do a video where just attendees are in there, like you know, you might see going around the internet, lots of people in boxes. That's the meeting, right? That's how you do a meeting. At this point, you're doing a presentation. The other person isn't, no offense, that important to the presentation, but you're going to let them do various things. So you've still got the chat, and I can send out a message to the chat. Hello all, starting soon. Right, or, sorry, I've just sent that to all panelists, haven't I? The difference between a panelist and an attendee will be apparent in a minute. A panelist can actually interact more. Attendees are just watching, chatting, and asking questions, right? So I can go to all panelists. Hello, all, starting soon. Oh, and that came up on the phone. You see on the phone, the little bottom, it came up as a chat on the phone, right? Now, when I go participants, obviously I can see participants and attendees, and I can promote them. So I can promote my computer to a panelist, or I can promote my phone to a panelist, right? Which gives them a next tier up of integration. So if you've got a few people you want to talk to, or you want to get them on video, if you've set the video settings, then you can say, you can promote somebody to a panelist for a question if you want them on video. If you just want to listen to them ask a question, you can just do it straight away from attendee, right? So they've got a Q&A option as well, where they can ask a question and they can put a hand up, and you can send a poll, right? Which you could do the poll, I think, in the other one as well. So this time we're going to go with the phone. Oh God, we're going to close the phone. We've broke the phone. Come on. Let's go back to the phone. So this is an attendee admin, right? So it's just seeing my face. That's all it's seeing. It's in that chat. All panelists I can ask a question to, all the panelists. Again, this could be settings that you might not want to see. But you will see nowhere can I see other attendees. I can't see the computer, Mick Nicholson, I can't see it. On here, attendees, Mick Nicholson, right? That's my computer. It's my dad's my computer. On here, there's no option as an attendee to see that. You see where it says join audio? You would already be on there, but the feedback, I had to turn it off because of the feedback, right? So what I can do is raise my hand for a question. Oh, raise my hand, right? I've got it on my computer, raise hand, allow to talk, right? Unmute me. So I can unmute and say, hello, I've got a question. How do you set up a webinar? Blah, 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 blah. Right, and then I can mute them. Thanks for the question. I'm going to, or you would be able to talk to them. You won't have to unmute them, right? So you'll be able to talk to them. And eventually when you've answered the question, lower the hand, right? So you could disable talking so they can't talk, but you would unmute them, right? So this is the difference. You have to allow somebody to talk versus the meeting, right? Then you can lower the hand, or you can lower all hands, you know. So you would go, anybody got a question? And then somebody would go, raise hand, there's a question. You might get one from the computer, raise a question, you can ask them to answer, right? So the attendee can voice answer, lower all hands, right? So now we're lowered, everything's down. So the other option in the middle, chat. So we know chat, send it to all panelists. So you've got more panelists, it'll go to everybody, or send to everybody. Same setting. You can obviously change that. I don't know, great so far, right? This was really awkward trying to work out how to do this on my own. Great so far, right? Comes up on the chat, comes up on the computer, or if it's just to the panelists, great stuff. Right, you can do that as well. Great stuff. Doesn't come up on the computer. I know you can't see that screen. Next thing is the Q&A. So basically, if you've got a Q&A on your webinar that's allowed, welcome feel free to ask the host or panelist a question. Ask a question. Hello, how do I share my screen? Right, return. Oh, send. On the computer now, I've got Q&A at the bottom one, right? So with the host, I've got a chance to say, I'm going to answer it live. So basically, I'm going to reply to that question in the... Now remember, this box that pops up, the guys can't see it, right? So if I close it, you see how I'm looking at that box? Nobody else can see it, but they can see your face. So don't worry, it's covered in your face. So I can either go type an answer, click F2 shift spacebar, right? Whatever. So I can talk and answer, and I can send it privately to them and not answer to everybody. But if everybody's seen that question, you might want to send it to everybody. Answered the question, right? So let's answer another one. So let's ask another question. Question. So I've got an answer there. My questions, you can go ask another question. When is the next webinar? Send. Right, so another question's come up. When is the next webinar? This time I'm going to answer it live. So I'm not going to type an answer. I'm going to answer it live. And then I'm going to talk about it. Oh, the next webinar is on Monday at 2 o'clock. Come and join us. I'll send the link out on the Facebook group so you can join us. Done. Answered, right? So there is no timestamp of an answer. It's just been answered in the webinar, right? So with the webinar, you have a Q&A. With the meeting, if imagine you have 200 people all wanting to ask a question in the meeting, they would have to put their hand up and you would go to them one at a time. In the webinar, you could have a Q&A, you could do your spiel and then answer the questions directly. Polling, you can ask a question. You basically go in here, enter the title of this poll, hat question. I don't know what that anonymous is. Allow anonymous. The user information in poll report will be kept anonymous. You can take that if you want. It's up to you if you want to know them. How is my hat? Good, bad, ugly. I don't know what you'd put. Save. Right. It would go out. Close. So watch the computer screen when I launch the poll. There, all of a sudden, I've launched the poll on the phone and the computer. It's popped up, and you can just go good, bad, or ugly. Submit it. There's your poll questions. I'll do another one, ugly, on the computer. You can see your stats, so you can ask a question. I can share results, so it pops up on the computer and on the phone. You can close it. I can close it. Right, share results. Oh, I go back to the webinar. So you can ask a poll. You can ask specific questions. You've got the chat functionality. It's a lot different, isn't it? A lot different to the meeting. Hopefully you're getting that the meeting is everybody on the screen, everybody in a meeting together, almost at the same hierarchy level, where the webinar is going to be hosts and participants and then attendees. So what we can do is we can basically make the phone a participant, panelist even. Promote to panelist. Sorry, you have panelists, you have the host, the panelists, and then the attendees. So if you want 2 or 3 people to talk, you can do that. Promote to panelist. It's going to close the app on the phone and reopen it. And now I'll get a little bit more functionality like the panelist. So if I go phone here, phone, and turn on my video. Now on the phone, I've now got an extra panelist, haven't I? So these are panelists. So if you want more people to talk, if you want to host a meeting like that, you can do it and have more chat. There's the phone. So you can allow people to be panelists, right? So you can do the multi-screen thing, but you would probably, I think you have up to 100 panelists and so many thousand viewers. I'm not sure exactly. I should have. Again, I can go to attendees, go promote to panelist. It's going to close the computer app. The app will come back up. Here it is, Mick Nicholson rejoining. Turn his video on. And so you can have a panel, and then obviously do it the other way around. I can revoke. I'll revoke Mick at the bottom. Change role to attendee. Send them back to being an attendee. Now the two people can talk, and other people can dive in and ask, you know, how did you meet? It's a very strange question when it's just me. So I can send it as Mick, or there's a box to make it anonymous. How did you meet, right? So the Q&A has come up on the panelist's phone. Q&A, how did you meet, right? Just look at any other major settings there. What's that one do? Oh, it's going to turn the microphone on. So I can answer that question, type the answer. Where is it? Here, sorry. So again, we're going to answer it live. We're going to talk to him. Oh, do you want to tell him how we met? No, you tell him how to meet. Holy shit, I'm losing my mind, aren't I? Just look at my face in 3 different views. So you can have the panelists will be in the grid, but the attendees will all be watching. So hopefully that's a really scatty way, because I haven't done enough Zoom calls. I definitely haven't done enough Zoom webinars. I may start doing webinars with sort of chats and Q&As and things like that. But it's interesting that if you don't want as many people to get involved and you want to control what they're saying, the webinar function where they are attendees and not panelists is better. The meeting is for everybody. You're not going to have that function of turning them off and not letting them be part of this. So hopefully that made sense. So hopefully that gave you some ideas. I know it got a bit scatty, a little bit. I find it a little bit hard. I'm not a massive Zoom expert, but the free version, one-on-one calls for as much as you need. But if the minute you go to a third person, you're only going to get 40 minutes with them. The minute you go to $14.99 a month, you get 100 participants in that meeting, where it's all sitting around the boardroom talking as much as you want. Then, oh, my bloody phone. Then when you go to the webinar, you can have 100 interactive. Let me close the meeting. I'm getting feedback off my phone. Right. You can have 100 active interactive video participants. So it's almost the same. It's exactly the same as the video, isn't it, in the meeting. You can have 100 people interacting, and then up to 10,000 people only attending. So you get a lot more people in. So you could have as many as you want in that interactive panelist where everybody talks. But if you only wanted a few people, you could have up to 10,000 people watching. So really cool, really easy to use. I will do more videos on how to use Zoom specifically for certain things. Ask your questions. I know this was scatty. I know I got a little bit in a muddle, but I hope it gave you some ideas as to what to do next on your side, right? Any questions, you know where I am. Free training, PNUK.co/Zoom training. And it will jump you straight to the free training place where you can sign up for free. I'm already logged in, it's going to let me in. And that will give you more structured training as to do what you want to do one-on-one. I'm going to post this video in here, the difference between a webinar and a meeting. And then there's some official Zoom videos in there to get you started. You know where I am. See you soon. Thanks.